And maintaining a good relationship with the community is a top priority for the city. Cincinnati Mayor John Cranley joins my colleague Craig McKee in the studio now to explain. Craig?
Julie, thank you very much. And Mayor Cranley, thank you for joining us tonight. Some people on social media say, okay, local media now trying to localize the story. How does the Dallas situation impact folks here in Cincinnati? When you first heard of the 5 officers ambushed and killed in Dallas, was your first thought, okay, what's going to happen here or what potentially could happen here?
Yeah, my heart broke. It was only a year ago where we buried Sonny Kim, the police officer, Cincinnati police officer who was a hero, was killed in the line of duty. Delivering that eulogy along with the falling firefighter Daryl Gordon was the 2 toughest days of my job as mayor. And so the idea that something like that could happen to our officers is very scary. And so if it could happen in Dallas, it could happen here. And so yeah, my first concern is that something that heinous could happen in Cincinnati.
We have had a number of escalated protests or rallies. Fortunately, nothing that we saw overnight in Dallas. What was that discussion like with the chief and trying to get things, I guess, planned out for today and then in the days ahead, knowing that there is a rally on Sunday? Yeah,
well, first of all, we respect completely the right to protest, right. And we will. And the rally on Sunday will continue. Our police are working with the Black Lives Matters folks. They have every right to protest. They have legitimate concerns about what happened in Baton Rouge and what happened in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And they have every right to protest, and they have reason to be upset. The loss of those lives is just as tragic as the loss of the police officers' lives. And so that's what the First Amendment's about, but the First Amendment doesn't mean anything if people can't peaceably protest, which our police enforce. And that whole system is threatened if people murder and assassinate police officers for protecting people's First Amendment rights. Mm. And so it was a double evil thing that happened in Dallas, because it not only murdered 5 cops and put 6 more in the hospital, but it also was a direct attack on the First Amendment of the Constitution.
And we've spoken to the organizers of the Black Lives group here, Black Lives Matter group here, and of course the show does go on Sunday, like you mentioned. The precaution to put 2 officers to patrol together, was that your decision? Was that the chief's decision? Was that something you guys arrived at together?
That was the chief's decision, but I absolutely support it. You know, I do not want to go to another funeral of a cop. Mm-hmm. And clearly, when, last year in New York, 2 cops were assassinated. Last night, 5 cops were assassinated. And so I believe that we need to make sure that our cops are going to go home to their families on a daily basis.
And how critical is the communication with the community? Because you can't predict when someone decides, all right, I'm going to flip a switch and make this crazy happen. How critical is that communication with folks in our community to pay attention to what's going on in their neighborhood, to somebody that they know that they think something might be going on?
Well, we obviously need people to come forward. There's nothing wrong with saying you think you see something suspicious to the police. If they investigate it and turn out that it wasn't suspicious, right, no one's even going to know you made that call. But we want people to come forward with suspicious behavior. And remember that while there are very deep tensions in other cities that we're seeing between the police and the community, coming out of 2001 in Cincinnati, where we had some issues, we made a lot of changes, and we have ongoing conversations with civil rights leaders who have concerns about what's happening nationally in Cincinnati. And just today, in fact, we had a long meeting with prominent civil rights leaders and our police leadership at City Hall, just a private conversation where people were able to air their concern. You have cops grieving because their fellow brothers were killed in the line of duty, and we have civil rights leaders that are grieving about what happened in Minnesota and Louisiana. And I think a lot of what these evildoers are doing is trying to divide our community. And as the mayor of Dallas said, we need to join hands and heal together as a nation and as a city.
Keeping the dialogue open and flowing for our city as well. All right, Mayor Cranley, thank you so much for joining us. We'll have much more from Mayor Cranley tonight on 9 on Your Side at 11 as well. Julie?